Welcome to Canada Studio. On this episode we are replacing the tire on Killer's wheels, and I'm gonna show you how to put a new tire and also how to use a sealant for the inner tube. So we're going to make like not a no tube but yes tube system, and there will be two things I disagree with most of the tutorial, even on some super large bicycle channels on YouTube. I'm not saying my tutorial will be the best one, but there will be two things I'm going to point out, and they will 100% allow you to be more safe with your new tires. So the first thing we're gonna do is to let the air out, which is super simple. In the Presta valve we are unscrewing the lock nut and allowing the air out. Now some of the riders would just let all the air out, some would keep just a little bit of the air inside the inner tube so that it will still hold its shape, and I'm just keeping just a little bit of the air in the inner tube, but definitely the inner tube is not touching the tire I'm removing. But you decide for yourself. Now we're gonna use some tire levers. There are different types of tire levers, but one thing I would like to point out here is that it would have this hook on the one side to just grab up the tire, and on the other side the hook to just lock on the spokes. I'm gonna show you that in a minute, but maybe important thing for myself is that when this hook for removing the tire is just like too sharp, has a lot of the curve, it sometimes is difficult to just take off between the tire and the rim. So this shape, in my opinion, is just the best one. Now some tires will be super easy to remove, others will be more difficult. So what we want to do is to push the tire just to the center of the rim because of the profile of the rim, and in the center the tire will just have like more space, will allow us to remove it more easily. Now we can see it already moves a lot. I'm beginning from the valve area, but you don't necessarily have to do it. I'm grabbing the bit of the tire and making sure I'm not just pinching the inner tube. That's why I'm having a little bit of the air in the inner tube, which is better for myself, in my opinion here. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out, I kind of disagree with other tutorials, is that if the tire is quite easy to remove, you simply use one tire lever in order to just take it off the rim. In that way you can easily damage the inner tube. So even if the tire is like really flat and super like soft, and it will allow you to remove it, I'm simply not doing it, because it would be sometimes a kind of damage that you won't see, and there will be some leak from your inner tube. So I'm never doing it. As you can see, the other hook is just locking my tire lever into place. Now where do I put the other one? As close or as far as I can do it, but making sure that it will just remove a whole area of this bead here. So if I was to do it here, that wouldn't work for me at all. But this tire is actually quite difficult to remove, so I'm just doing it like very, very close to the other one. As you can see, it comes off. Now I can maybe go a little bit further. Here it's okay. So if you have like two tire levers, you can do it like this. If you have three, you can just lock the second one and then try to go on with the third one. But as you can see, it's just coming off right now. And now if it's going super lightly, I'm just doing it like this. And I'm sure that there is no inner tube in between my tire lever and the tire. Now you will see how much of the air I left on the inner tube. All right, so okay. Now some guys would just try to pull out the valve, but first you can just do it like this. I'm just on the other side just like opposite to the valve, and now I'm taking my inner tube off. As you can see, it was just like this, so it's fine. And now I'm grabbing the other bit of the tire, trying to remove it. As you can see, it doesn't come off very easily, so I'm trying to push it once more to the center of the rim. And sometimes it would be good to use a tire lever here, so I think I will do it like that. And then if the second one comes, the tire comes off. Okay, so this tire is quite stiff, and it wasn't maybe that easy, but okay to be removed. So the only thing, one of the most important things I wanted to point out here is not to simply go with one lever around the wheel, but use maybe 2 levers, or try to just open the tire into areas, and that's how much this is how much of the air I just left in the inner tube. Now the second thing, before we put another inner tube on our wheel, I'm just making sure that's everything fine with the tape here inside. Now the tape has a lot to do sometimes with the punctures, and even if you're running like Dura-Ace road wheels, go and check out the Shimano website, because there is some safety action right now. So there is some recall action because of those tapes on some of those models that could cause a puncture. So that's important. It's everything clean here. The tape is, it's not okay. So it's also good chance for myself to tell you about it. Okay, what I don't like about the tape here, it's kind of okay, but there is some place where the tape is just like too narrow here, and you can see just a little bit like the edge of the hole for our spoke. So if the this belt or this tape doesn't really close it, then we can be getting some punctures. That's why I'm gonna simply remove this one and just throw it away, and I'm gonna use a NoTubes tape, which is super awesome and super safe. In the meanwhile, I just cleaned the rim from outside and especially from the inside, making sure there is nothing here, no dirt inside, and it's dry as well. Yeah, the old tape was really worn, and this huge hole here wasn't really helping. It wasn't covering, it hadn't been covering really all the holes for the spokes. So I wasn't planning this, but we are also using a rim tape. So this will be also a tutorial of the rim tape stands NoTube. We are not sealing this one, even though it will be sealed now. I'm not putting here the tubeless system, but you can use this tape just as a regular tape for your rim, and it's lightweight, it's very good, and it doesn't make those pinch flats of your inner tubes. How am I gonna use it? Maybe some guys would like to start just here, just before the valve hole, go around and end up here. But nice way to do it is to cover the valve hole with the tape and then just cut some hole. It will really protect your inner tube from some pinch flats. So let's just do it right now. It fits super nicely. I do stretch it just a little bit so that it will just make one nice surface on my rim. This is how it looks like. Nice, really nice surface for the inner tube, covering all the valve holes. Now all the spoke holes. Now we have to make a hole for the valve here. I'm just using my scissors here. Just something like that, like this, and it will just fit very nicely. All right, so our rim is now ready. It's really prepared. It's like restored because this is an old rim, really. And what we're doing now, we are putting here the new inner tube. But what kind of inner tube we are using for the sealant? We have to use the inner tube which has the removable valve core. Not all the inner tubes have this. This one does. So as you can see, there is this lock nut which I can just remove along with the whole valve here, right? So I'm gonna be able to put some sealant here inside. But really, before you do this, it's a good idea to keep your valve here because you would like to have here some air in order to put it on the rim and to put the tire on. You can just use your lungs. That's the way we do it when we have to fix the flat somewhere on the marathons. We use our lungs just to get our inner tube to shape. And now we have two new tires. We have the foldable one and the wired one. And I'm gonna put the foldable one on the Mavic Cross Max in the front and the wired one in the rear. So let's go ahead and just put the one here. First direction, and what direction I would like to put my my tire. It's same tire for rear and front, and I'm gonna have those knobs here to grab the ground, so it will be this direction, and then I'm just putting my wheel. Now one thing I'm doing also, when I know where my valve hole is, it's nice to know the place, maybe somewhere here where the Maxxis sign is, so it will be always easier to find your valve if you're like in a rush somewhere on some marathon or just whatever. As I told you in my previous video, the wired tire can be more difficult to put on, but some foldable aren't easy as well. This one seems to be quite okay. Alrighty, one bit of my tire is already on the rim, and now we're putting the inner tube. Just starting with the valve. And now, very important thing when we are putting the inner tube to the tire, especially on those road tires, is not to damage the inner tube. So we are making sure that the inner tube really goes into place. Seems like I'm losing some air, so maybe the valve isn't really on its place. All right. And now when I'm putting the other bead of my tire to the rim, I have to be very, very careful not to do a pinch flat, which really happens to even like experienced cyclists. By the way, when I bought my Canada Cat 10, someone did put the inner tube in the wrong way, so that my tire was pinching the inner tube, and I got a flat tire. So on the new bike, so that was the problem here. Now I'm very, very carefully looking where my inner tube is. You can see that here. Just pushing the inner tube first and then the bead of my tire. It's okay on the tire which is like 2 inches wide, but on those for maybe around 1 inch it will be more difficult, and that will be the trickier part here. You have to be sure that there is no inner tube here between the bead of the tire and the rim. There is no inner tube here, so I'm sure about it. Okay. Now, normally we would just inflate the tire, but what I'm doing now is to put some sealant in. So replacing the valve core, putting the valve here on the bottom in such position, and now we're gonna put some sealant here. Now the Stance NoTubes sealant is made for basically for the tubeless systems. It's NoTubes, right? But they also say here, even here on the etiquette, that you can be using this one for your inner tubes. Now, some guys would tell you that it doesn't work that well because when the inner tube get flat or get cut, it will just like decompress and open up like quite a lot, and the sealant will not seal this one. But that's for sure. If you are going through some thorns, this sealant for the inner tube will be just great stuff, and I know a lot of guys who are just, you know, removing thorns from their like yes tubes systems, and there is no air leaking. So I'm just shaking this one. Now the question is how much to use it. Of course, you just follow the instructions. It says here that up to 2.4 inch tire, we are using 60 to 90 milliliters per tire, but we have here the inner tube, so I'm using a bit less. Why is it so? Well, the sealant will have like a bit less surface to be sealing, but the other thing is also that it will be in the inner tube. So the sealant doesn't have to go between the bead and the rim. It's not sealing actually here anything just until we get a flat or some thorn or anything into our tire. So 60 to 90 per 60 to 90 for the 2.4 inch tire. I think for this one 60 for 26 inch tire will be just enough. So just using some kind of injector. This one is 20 milliliters, so I'm gonna use 3 such for my inner tube. Okay. Oops. It's kind of foamy now. All right, so let's measure around 60 milliliters. I think that's just about it. I don't think we would really need more here. Okay. It's like latex. All right. Okay, here is our valve. There you go. No punctures, Denny. No punctures. We don't like flats. Flats are super irritating, but also if you've been like training a lot to some event, and then you get just a flat tire, and you're running like some super duper fancy expensive bike, you really feel like hopeless. All right, so the sealant is already there. Now our valve comes into place, making sure that the valve will really be in the lock position. You may want to use also some special tool for this one, but usually I'm just doing it by hand and it works fine. All right, now I'm using the lock ring here, this one here. Okay, and now this will be the second thing I disagree with most of the tutorials, which say that you now simply put your tire into place and making sure that when it's already in and everything is fine, you simply inflate the tire to the pressure that you need. That's something I really disagree with. You don't simply inflate the tire right now. What I'm gonna do now is really, I don't want to put some of the sealant on my valve. What I'm gonna do now is to inflate the tire just a little bit and then check exactly carefully whether the tire is on its place, whether the wheel, the tire is very true, and then I'm gonna put some more tire pressure. Why is it so? Because first, when you simply inflate the tire, it can be out of true, then you have to let the air out and just put it once more. That one thing. And the other thing is also that when we just put a little of the air and then we are really trying to put the tire on its place, there is really, it's much more safe way of not pinching your inner tube. So that's, in my opinion, that's very, very important. I'm having like, I don't know, 10 psi or something like that. Okay, and why so? Now I'm really able to control the shape of my tire, and the tires have some indicator here showing you the depth of the tire, meaning how deep the tire went into the rim from the inside, and you want that to be like very, very even. And if there was still maybe some inner tube between the tire and the rim, you will just get rid of this problem here, and the tire will be super true. Now we need a bit more air, so I'm gonna do it like maybe in 3 phases. So when the tire is true, I'm not talking about the wheel, but the tire is true, it means it's on its place. I will really have this, peace of mind that I did everything I could in order to have like better puncture resistance, and there is a lot of thorns on the track tomorrow, so I'm not going to be afraid of any thorns. If you think about what pressure am I going to run, this is 2.1 tire, so for many it's like not really wide, and I'm running just around 50 psi, something about 50 psi, and that will be just fine. But one thing that is wrong here, I just noticed, guys, that I put this tire on the wrong direction, because I want these knobs here to grasp the ground when I'm pedaling, so it will be opposite to the front one, and I did it in the wrong way. So I will fix it for myself, but as for yourselves, guys, it's all done. Thanks for watching and your support, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.